everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KT Comics. Today, I have a great episode with my good buddy, Jim. We have some drama in the community, and Jim isn't aware of what's happening here, so I want to get his fresh opinion on the matter. He's going to look at how it all went down, and let's see his reaction. So let's get to it. Alright, so we got some drama happening in the comic community. It's wild. I tried to stay out of it. It was crazy. So what happened was last weekend, there was C2E2, which is a huge con at Chicago. Now, during this con, there was vendors that showed up with exclusive variant comics, and they were selling these comics. Now, I'm just going to get Jim to take a look at it. He is unaware of whatever's going on here, so I want him to take a look at this comic first before we go any further. So, Jim, I sent you the text message. Okay. Take a look at the comic.
Right, and I got no idea what he's talking about. This is my first time I'm hearing of this, so let's see. What am I looking at?
So right there, yeah. Click on it.
Okay, so
what do you see there?
Looks like a variant of Ultimate Fallout 4, first appearance of Miles Morales as Spider-Man.
Yep.
Different back cover. So this is a tweet from them or Facebook?
So
post?
Yeah, that's the company that made the actual comic itself. But yeah. So you can see that there's something kind of different with it, right?
Yeah, we are so proud of this project, Ultimate Fallout. In God We Trust, acetate, limited only 750 copies worldwide.
Right. So that's the key right there, right? Acetate cover. So if you take a look at it, you're going to notice that there's some changes on the outside. So there's a different cover on this comic book. So this was a sought-after book at the con itself. And so what happens is now we've been to cons before.
Oh, yeah.
We know all what goes on there. If you have VIP passes or if you're a vendor, you get early access, right? You get early access into it. You get lined up. You're ready to go. You're going to get your books first. You're going to get your goodies before you actually go out and visit the con, right? So what this vendor was, this was a comic shop vendor, Black Flag Comics, okay? What you do there is that they can do exclusives for their comic shop. So what they have to do is they have to work with Marvel. They make a certain amount of copies of this book. And I think it's 3,000. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it's about that. Then what happens is that Black Flag Comics decided to make an acetate copy of it. So what that means is the acetate plastic, they folded over to it. They added some features of a US flag onto it with Miles Morales holding the flag. But the thing is this comic book doesn't get approved by Marvel.
You can't do that.
So there's one thing, right? So there's no barcode for saying that Marvel accepted this. That's an issue, right? Secondly, they got CGC to grade it. So really what happens is this book has 4 staples into it, right? Black Flag got CGC gradings of 9.8, 9.9, and a 10.0. Right, for this book. Now, here's the thing. These books previously were made in November, right? Okay. So November, so without the acetate onto it. So then what they did is they had acetate covers as well made. So there's 4 staples in this book. So now the controversy is, this book, is it a bootleg or is it an actual real thing? Now, CGC is saying, yes, we verify it, give it the blue label, good to go. Right, signed by Clayton Crane. There's a whole bunch of different layers happening here. So this is the book that everybody's wanting for. So the first problem is everybody lines up, right, wanting to get the copies. Now what happens is Black Flag Comics shows up. Then all of a sudden people are saying that these influencers, YouTubers, whatnot sellers, butting lines to getting their comics. And they're buying hundreds at a time.
Oh, and there's only
750. That's right. So they're buying lots of these books. Then all of a sudden now the line is starting to question, well, is there going to be enough? Is there going to be enough? There wasn't. And then what happened was that magically, Black Flag Comics finds a short box of more of these Ultimate Fallout books, and instead of selling it at $85 a pop, they jack it up to $100 per book. So then, all these people are not going to get the book that have been waiting hours and hours because these influencers, supposedly, I don't know, I wasn't there, butted lines and bought multiple parts of it. So they bought hundreds and then distributed it out to resell on Whatnot and whatever, right? So the community is in a huge uproar. Why did Black Flag not have a limit, right, on selling these books? Why is it that the influencers went in and jacked it in butted lines to buy it? Now, the influencers saying they didn't do that. They had previously worked out a deal with Black Flag, and, it was like, okay, we already set on a price. We're just going to come pick up, and then we're going to go, right? I understand. This is a business, and opportunities happen, okay? And when people see opportunity, they just jump on it, right? So
you got a chance to make money.
What's happened is they bought it for $85 a pop. Now, on Whatnot and eBay, you can't buy this book for under $300 right now. So there's a huge opportunity for that. And I think really what's happened is that people, I feel bad for the people in the line, right? I do feel bad.
The collectors that showed up to get their one copy and move on.
Right. And if you're thinking about it, what if it was like a little kid that found out about this book, wanted to start collecting comics, this was going to be their first book, and now they can't get it, right? Because of opportunity. Now, I don't blame the influencers really for capitalizing on an opportunity. I mean, it's a business. That's what happens, right? You see it all the time. If we were talking about a restaurant, right? You're going to go to a place and slip a 20 or whatever to get a good seat. Like, some people do that, right? You go to places and you get benefits and get rewards for your hard work. And these resellers, they're not just buying and just quickly flipping, right? They're putting in the hours. They're grinding. They're doing what they love to do, right? But do I agree butting in line? That kind of sucks. Okay, I don't agree with that. But there's controversy saying, well, we didn't butt in line. Well, we did, but like it's a he said, she said thing. What I don't like is what Black Flag Comics did, right? Not putting a limit onto it because they just want to sell out because they have a lot of money tied up with these comics. Okay, I get that, but there's a better route to take on it. I think what you should have done, have a limit of 10 copies per person, whatever have you, until Sunday at a certain period of time. And then what you can do is if you have leftover stock, you can open up the floodgates to sell everything out, right? I think that gives enough people enough opportunity to get through the line, to get their books, and then you can unload your stock at the end.
Well, I suppose, but with only 750 copies of this book, and this would be a huge event. Like, how many thousands of people will go through there?
Tons.
Like,
lots, right?
Hundreds of thousands of people go through there. You're going to sell your 750 copies. But let's reel this back a little bit. How did they... So, Marvel didn't approve this book. How did they get them printed?
So, originally, what the controversy was they were not sure if Marvel actually did approve or not approve it. And so this is the next layer that I'm going to get into, right? So influencers was one thing, right? And it's kind of overshadowed now because there's some pretty shady shit happening right now that I'm kind of concerned with for the community. And it screams the 90s all over again. Like, it really does. So what happened here is that this Ultimate Fallout 4 book was printed and then they got acetated covers on top of it. Now, I don't know if it was at the time when he ordered the 3,000 copies or if he took 750 copies, sent it back to get acetated, and then brought it back and then sent it to CGC. I don't know. But what I do know is now Bleeding Cool app, right, that you can check out information on, has stated that they are aware that Marvel did not approve of this acetate thing. So now the question really lies is, how did he get away with it by making the acetate cover? How did CGC miss this or just decide to go on with it, right? No. And B, what's Marvel going to do about it, right? That's kind of what I'm wondering is what's Marvel going to do about this acetate cover? So, because the damage is already out there, right? People have bought this book, right? 9.9s. How is it that you get a book that has 4 staples into it, handled, shipped to CGC, and get a 10-0 on it? How do you get a 10 on a grade on something that's been already previously handled, put 2 extra staples into, then send it to CGC to get graded? It boggles my mind because I don't understand that process.
That's, yeah, for a 10, that's wild.
Right?
I mean, those, in general, like, they never happen. They very, very rarely happen.
It really, it makes you wonder the credibility of CGC, right? Because we all know CGC is the big dog on campus, right? But now with things like this and with the signings and the backdating, and yeah, they've improved a bit there, but there's just been so many little things over and over again that make you really question their integrity, right? So now something like this happens with an acetate cover at 9.9. People are getting out of control, finding these influencers, and I don't agree with this part. They're finding the influencers and bashing them hard, and not just about the book or whatever have you, but about just personal attacks. And I don't think that's right. I think, these people have put in their time, their effort. They're working hard. They're bringing a lot of content to the community, and for them to be lashed out is just, it's immature, right?
Well,
I don't agree with it.
What kind of personal attacks? I mean, if there was an influencer that showed up and, you know what, they bought more than their fair share to turn a profit on this, just seeing it as a bit of opportunity, they're not really promoting comics.
Yeah, well,
they're taking more than their fair share. I mean, I don't agree with, personally attacking somebody over it.
Yeah, I think it was more personal attacks that aren't even comic related, right? Like they're actually just abusing, right? Like saying some really nasty stuff to these influencers. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that, what the influencers did is 100% free, or legitimate. I think really with that, the integrity or the work ethic part of it for being, an influencer, you don't just take $100 just for you to make an opportunity on, right?
Well, exactly, yeah.
It's tough, right? Yeah. You see the opportunity for them, but yet, is it worth that opportunity? Really, that's what you have to ask yourself. Is it worth this hassle of then he said, she said, I don't agree with this, and I think that they're over abusing their influence to get these, and it's blown up to craziness, to the point where, frankly, for me, looking at the Ultimate Fallout 4 comic, it's nothing. I think it's a actual brutal, kind of gross book. Like, it's just like,
it's kind of ugly.
It's ugly. And then if you look at the back, it says, "In God we entrust." So it's spelled
really?
there. Yeah, go take a look at it. So they actually spelled it wrong on the back too. So it's like, is this book really worth all this hassle? My opinion on this is no. It's really not. And really it's a modern book, so it's a flash in the pan anyways. And I predict 6 months, 2 things are going to happen. People are going to forget about this book, and secondly, that it's going to drop from $350 to $200 or to like $100 or maybe even less, right? So honestly, is it worth it? No, you can pick it up later. It's just a shitty thing that happened at a con and put a real bad sour taste in a lot of people's mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
And
so
I don't know. We'll see where this goes, because controversy, it drums up interest.
yeah.
So maybe interest isn't lost from this book. Maybe it's kind of like those books that, there's the controversy where Stan's blood was in the ink for his signature on it, like
With the kiss and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, yeah. So, the integrity part of the influencers is, I don't really want to focus on it. What I do want to focus on is Black Flag, because he's already apparently stated that he's got 2 more books that have acetate covers onto it. Now, are those Marvel approved as well? Like, I don't know. And secondly, CGC. How is it that this fell through the cracks, right? Because CBCS has responded back and said that no, this would be a facsimile, and it would not be classified as as
the real deal.
Yeah, right. So, to me, I feel personally, in my opinion, this is a bootleg copy. It has Fort staples, does not have the Marvel approval onto it, so it kind of wonders the question of, is Marvel going to take action, right? Like, what do you think Marvel going to do?
That's a really good question.
Right?
I mean, if I was Marvel, one of the things I'd want to know is, where did they get these covers from?
Right.
Did they go to, Marvel's printer with these, coverless books, or like how did they get them?
Right. and not only that, but then you're putting the integrity of Clayton Crane on the line too. He put his signature on the book and go, but is he aware of what happened, right?
Yeah.
So now he's kind of curious of where he lies too with Marvel, because that could damage a relationship there too.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's so many different layers to what's happening here, and honestly, I thought about doing this video because I wanted to get your reaction and your opinion on it, but I just want to stay clear of this. I'm going to stay in my lane of Bronze and Silver Age and not worry about Modern, because really, this is another example of why I'm happy staying out of Modern for collecting purposes, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I please keep it professional. I don't want the he said, she said, naming out things. We're better than that in the community. So let's just keep it professional. But I am curious on people's thoughts about CGC, Black Flag Comics. If you think it's okay to do this, right? And also, what do you think Marvel's going to do? Because I think there's going to be some finger pointing and some no coming down the pipeline.
There should be something. That's their product that
Right.
it got packaged up by somebody else and shipped out as though it were theirs. So yeah. If I was Marvel, I wouldn't be happy.
Right. So it's, and you see it all the time at cons. When I kind of wanted to talk about this too with the variants, is that there's so many variants out there for Modern now, and it's screaming, if you're a comic shop, you want to get the approval, let's make an exclusive. I get the coolness behind it, but whatever happened just to having the comic book as a cover, right? Just the cover one and read the story. You don't get that anymore, right?
Every book has a variant.
Right? And it is getting to the point where it's just flooding everything and it's getting ugly. And at what point do you just say enough's enough, right? What are we going to do for a solution against these variants? Because trust me, I like to see cool artwork. I do, but goddamn, if something like this happens more and more, there's got to be some kind of solution for it. I thought about possibly doing like a polybag, like what they did for Batman Adventures 12, where you can't see what kind of book you got until you cut it open and open it up and see. Okay. So then you could have all variants through it. There could be a 125, 100. You just never know what you're gonna get, right? So I thought maybe that could be a possibility for any kind of variant, but I don't know. Exclusives are getting to the point where it's out of hand, and something's got to change.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I kind of like part of DC's approach. They'll release a book, there'll be a number of variants on it, but there won't be ratio variants. It's one where there'll be 3, 4, 5 different covers. You just pick the one that you like and you buy that book. Yeah. You're not, you don't have to spend, $100, $200 to get these high ratio variants just to get a cover that you like.
Yeah, fair enough. So if you're Marvel, right,
Yep.
and you heard about this acetate, and they didn't get your approval on it, what are you gonna do? And you hear about CGC as well, right?
Yep.
Being able to grade this and getting that integrity of interesting.
Yeah, that's a curious one, because that would mean CGC didn't get in touch with Marvel and say, hey, is this the real deal?
Right.
But there's so many books that go through CGC, even older books for companies that aren't around anymore. Is that a requirement for them?
Yeah.
They just look at a book and they say, yep, this is a comic. This is, Ultimate Fallout 4. It's this particular variant. This is what the grade is. Where's the line there? Did they actually say it was a Marvel book, even though it wasn't endorsed by Marvel? I don't know.
So the original cover in that has the barcode from Marvel, but the acetate cover doesn't.
Oh.
So you see how that works?
Yep.
So that's where I'm kind of wondering, is this a good to go, or do you think this is a bootleg book?
I'm going bootleg book.
Yeah.
Yep. If Marvel didn't sign off on it, it's 100% a bootleg book.
That's my take too, right?
Yep.
So now the question is does this become an integrity thing for ethical to sell it? Right? Is it a one-of-a-kind collector now? Does it boost up the price? Does it mean that they're pulling all these books back? I don't know, right? And there's so many things up in the air, and especially if Black Flag Comics is going to Boston and stuff and doing stuff with Ghost Rider acetate cover, and he's doing it again. So you're kind of wondering, what's it going to be like in Boston? Is there going to be a lineup? Is there going to be another thing where everyone's just going to go and try getting all these books at 100 at a time kind of thing? Like,
jeez. Yeah. Oh, man, if I was Marvel, I'd probably be getting in touch with Black Flag and, yanking any of those exclusives back.
Right? That's what I
slap
would
with something and say, if you sell any more of these, like, there's going to be a lot serious consequences.
So eBay has now, people are reporting to eBay about these books, and they're pulling them as a counterfeit. It doesn't make their policy as the counterfeit thing. So now people that have bid and bought these things like now are like essentially stuck with it, or have to refund the money and keep that book because they can't sell it because it's a counterfeit.
Well, see, again, that's a quirky one. If people are selling it after just buying it this weekend, they didn't buy it for themselves. They bought it to turn
flip.
a quick buck.
And you can't blame a person for trying to do that, right? Like, everybody tries to do it. And honestly, I've heard people in the line talk about, they're buying, hundreds at a time. Look, a lot of the time, people like to buy and flip. And I hear all the time, I'm just buying 2 or I'm buying 5, just for my friends or whatever have you. Like, you're trying to flip too, man. You're trying to buy 1 for yourself, 2 to sell so that you can recoup your money, right? And it's part of the game, right? And I understand the frustration of waiting in lines, then all of a sudden not having it. But you can't point the finger at influencers because that opportunity, anybody would really kind of jump on it, right? What you can do is blame Black Flag for not having a limit on it until the very end. And I really do think that my solution with have a limit for, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday up to a certain point, maybe like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then from 2 to close, have it free range. Because then you're going to blow out your inventory,
and
right?
a lot more people have a chance to come in and get this book if they want it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's fair.
So, yeah, that's my take. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until then, keep on collecting.